Coming up, we give you an update on all things Downtown Disney and its transformation into Disney Springs. From the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the DIS Unplugged. This is the DIS Unplugged, episode number 716 for the week of June 24th, 2014. The DIS Unplugged is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Disney vacation. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the DIS Unplugged. I am your host, Dustin West, coming to you live from the Bob Varley Studio here in Orlando, Florida. I am joined at the table by my good friends, Sean Michael Noah,
hey,
who is its first time at the table.
Yeah, exciting, very exciting.
We also have Kathy Whirling.
Hi.
And Corey Martin here on the table. And back in the production nook, we have Craig Williams and Sean Thompson. Hey, guys.
Hi.
Hey. So, again, like I said in the intro, our segment today is all about Downtown Disney and its transformation over the last year and into the future into Disney Springs. We have a lot of information. We've had lots of help finding this information. Sean Michael Noah, he helped put together a list of rumors and different restaurants and venues and stuff that would be coming, as well as Kathy Whirling has a wonderful blog that just went up. You want to tell us a little bit about your blog?
It's a lot of the pictures and just showing you what's different. It seems like every time I go there, it's different from the week before or whatever. So
yeah.
Just be aware there's lots of changes going on at Downtown Disney. But I took you through and tried to show you landmarks in the picture so that if you've been there before, you can see how it's changing already.
Okay. We'll have a link to your blog in the show notes page. You can also go to blog.wdwinfo.com. Our show notes page is www.disunplugged.com. Again, you can find the link to Kathy's blog, and that'd be a good way to maybe follow along with our segment today. So definitely check that out. One of the things I wanted to start with in our segment about Downtown Disney and Disney Springs is kind of a general overview for those who don't know what Downtown Disney is all about. Just the most basic overview we can do. In its current form and what it's been for maybe about the last 5 to 10 years it's a shopping district that's located in Walt Disney World that's separate from all the parks, but it has three distinct areas. At least it had three distinct areas, which were the Downtown Disney Marketplace, which was that's all shopping. There's some restaurants thrown in there as well, but that's the original portion of what used to be the Downtown Disney, the Disney Village and the Disney Village Marketplace. And then, of course, there was Pleasure Island that was added, which is basically no more right now.
Right.
And, of course, the most recent addition in the grand scheme of things was the West Side, which has House of Blues, some of the larger, not chain restaurants, but franchise restaurants by celebrity chefs and stuff like that. And that's also where Splitsville, the bowling alley, and the movie theater are. So newer additions down on the West Side. But all of that, not all of it, but a lot of it is going to be changing over the next couple of years into what we're calling, or Disney's calling, Disney Springs. So a few things about Disney Springs, and if you're watching along live or on YouTube, you can see some of the concept art for Disney Springs. Downtown Disney will be renamed Disney Springs and will consist of several different neighborhoods featuring more than 150 stores, restaurants, and entertainment locations. The neighborhoods will be named the Town Center, the Landing, the West Side, and the Marketplace. The Town Center is going to feature a central promenade along with shopping and dining. The Landing is the area's main commercial district with waterfront views and themed dining. And the West Side and the Marketplace are pretty much staying where they are and have similar offers, but there's going to be new restaurants and venues thrown in throughout and shops as well. So I thought maybe we could talk about what's kind of changed over the last year since Disney Springs was announced. We've seen some major changes. First of all, I think the first in this kind of row of things that are changing is Splitsville came out 2 years ago, and that kind of started the whole process. Now, we've covered Splitsville like nobody's business. That's a wonderful bowling alley, and everybody loves it. But more recently, they've added the Marketplace Co-op, and we have talked about that, but I thought maybe we could talk about the Marketplace Co-op and how that's going to fit into how Disney Springs is going to be moving forward with the Marketplace. So what are your guys' first thought, for those of you who have been to the co-op the Marketplace Co-op? What's your initial thoughts on how that store is maybe different from some of the stores that have existed before?
I think at least it looks like they're upping their game a little bit and trying to bring in some new merchandise that they didn't have before. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't know that I went to Team Mickey all that much before, right, but the Marketplace Co-op is a store that I would go back to many times. There's so many different things in there that you could. I'm sure it's going to make more money for Disney than Team Mickey did.
Yeah, and kind of the general idea behind it is they did close the Team Mickey store, which was a very large venue in the Disney Marketplace. And now what they've done is they've created this shop that is very eclectic, and it has little tiny corners and tables set up, and in each little corner and table has different types of merchandise running the whole spectrum of what you'd expect from a Disney merchandise location, and some things you wouldn't expect.
No, it's almost like a shopping village within a shopping village. Mm-hmm. When you go in there, you never imagine that it was just one big store with different sections, and you walk in, it's like, you have your trophy room, and you have all these different rooms. I really like it. It's not very stroller friendly, the little pass, but
but it also looks different than anything Disney's really done before in terms of shopping experiences. And if this is kind of the same layout and feel that we're going to get in the rest of the shops that are coming up, granted they're not going to own every store. A lot of it's going to be third party coming in to sell. But if they all kind of have that same feeling and that same look, it's going to make for a much more pleasant shopping experience.
Going off of that, I love some of the details they put into this, like the custom bags that you get. You can walk around to the multiple different boutiques, and you don't have to pay at every single one. You can just shop in all of them. It just feels like a higher-end shopping experience when you're in there, and it's really nice.
It's funny you said that because it feels that like you said, you can take stuff from one to the other, but it feels like you can't. Because they're so separated, but you can. You're still in the same store.
Now, there's been a lot of construction going on, obviously, and one of the things that also opened up very recently were the two Starbucks locations, which were new additions as part of this this kind of turnaround for downtown Disney into Disney Springs. The addition of Starbucks where the Main Street Bakery used to be caused a lot of controversy. What do you guys think about having Starbucks at downtown Disney? You think that as time goes on, this is going to continue to be popular, or Starbucks is popular in general, but
Oh, absolutely, it's going to be popular. Yeah. I think the one at Marketplace is a great spot too.
I completely agree.
I couldn't picture in my head, but now when I go, it's like it filled that empty area by World of Disney.
So it's a walk-up window, so there's no college students on their laptops getting ready for their exams.
Exactly.
You don't have to put up with that kind of stuff. I'm sorry for anybody doing their exams right now, but I don't think they are. Adding Starbucks and the Marketplace Co-op, these are just the initial things that we're seeing. Like I said, there's a lot of construction. For those of you guys that have been to downtown Disney recently, what is the construction like right now? How is that affecting
endless walls.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
It's endless walls. As long as you walk along these walls and you look at what's to come, it'll make your experience a little better.
The concept art that they have shown on the walls definitely give you something more to look forward to, and it's very good art. So it's definitely more of a good preview while they're closing off everything. I like that.
Yeah. You will have bottlenecks areas. There are some areas that just bottleneck, and there's no avoiding it. But it's temporary.
The thing about Disney construction, and we see it with the Magic Kingdom all the time on Main Street, and when they did Fantasyland, with New Fantasyland. It's like putting up with those bottlenecks. It's putting up with the construction to get to that final destination of having it more opened up, more accessible. And because I think about that one particular bottleneck in between Pleasure Island and Marketplace, right by the T-Rex restaurant and the Lego store, that has always been just everyone stops and you cannot move. And I know that they're expanding a pathway back there, but while the construction walls are up, is that still very crowded?
Yes,
there?
because now you have to go, there's like a whole new set of walkways that they have where Pollo Campero was closed off, and you have to go like behind there to get out to the marketplace, or tucked back in this little areas where the Lego store is.
Yeah.
Feels like
They
you're
make
in Labyrinth, you know?
They make it challenging for you to spend your money in that area.
Yeah. And we can't mention the construction at downtown Disney.
Excuse me.
It's all right, Kathy. Without mentioning the parking situation that is happening right now. How is the parking, Corey? I know you were talking about it.
You know, we valet because you get free valet if you spend money using Tables in Wonderland. So, you know, that's $20 that it's $20, it's valet, it's expensive, but you know, go spend some money using Tables in Wonderland, you get that for free. So we skipped searching for the parking spot. It's like going to the mall at Christmas. You know, you just you're looping in and out, like looking, watching for people with bags, and you know, are you getting in that car? Are you leaving soon? That sort of thing.
Slowly walking, you know, like driving right behind them as they're walking to their car. Where is it?
Well, one of the additions for downtown Disney will be a brand new parking structure, a parking garage. And
There's actually going to be two.
There's going to be two. And what's happened is, I mean, that's going to be great when it opens, but it has closed off gigantic chunks of the parking lot. And I've had the experience of not doing valet and doing exactly what you're talking about, which is going around trying to steal a spot from somebody or watch them go back with their bags. Are they leaving? Are you just having a cigarette? What are you doing? Are you going? You talked about valet. Part of me, and I don't know what you guys' opinions are, I'll throw it out to you. Part of me feels like that is a brilliant idea on Disney's thought process that, okay, we're going to have parking problems, so we can make some money by doing valet. Well, that same feeling feels like they're taking advantage of that situation and limiting the parking spaces that could be available for everyone, and you know, crossing out huge chunks of parking to reserve for valet.
Yeah, and valet is not open all day. I think it starts at 4 o'clock or 3. I could be wrong.
4 o'clock.
So, but all those spaces are reserved for valet. So if you get there at noon and you go to park at West Side, there's this whole section of just, you know, empty spots waiting for a valet.
And there's
I wish there was a
also
way.
one now behind the World of Disney store. So there's two valet areas, and they took a big chunk behind the World of Disney store. And if you go by there, even during busy times, there's loads of empty spots in that area. So it seems like it's a nice idea, but I think they overestimated how many spots they were going to need for that. Like, I don't think everybody's taking advantage of valet parking.
Yeah, and another thing they had been doing, and it seems like they keep going on and off with it, is offering parking behind or across the street at Team Disney and in front of Disney Casting, which is across the street. And they were running shuttles at one point. I don't know if are they currently doing that right now. Did you happen to see that?
I didn't see that.
They're still doing it, but it's when it's busy. But the problem with that is you don't know until you get to that lot if they've deemed it as a busy time. You know, there's really nothing out in front that says, okay, we're running the shuttle today.
And you don't always have to believe the lot full signs.
Right.
I drive right past those cones.
Yeah, somebody will be leaving that parking space eventually. But at the same time, you know, there might be 10 other people that have the same idea as you, and they're going to get there first. Oh man, I made a woman very angry one time by snaking into a spot, but I got there first. Then. I'm
She was a pregnant lady.
Oh no.
Yes.
Let's not start any rumors on that.
Since we're talking about parking, I know, Kathy, you went to the food truck festival the other night, and I had a very different experience. You found a parking spot, no problem.
Right.
From what I
did.
hear. I was probably about half an hour later, probably around 5:30, 5:45, and it was a nightmare. The worst parking experience I've ever seen in my life. So much so that I turned around. I left, and I sent an angry tweet to Downtown Disney. It was just... there were more parking lots closed than I remembered. When you drove back behind Lanuba, a huge section, and I knew it had been closed before, but I didn't remember it being this big. And it was just to the point where there were at least 10 cars in every lane looking for a spot.
Yeah.
There was no solution except for to get out of there.
That's because they, for some reason, decided that while they're doing construction on the front lot, they're going to do some more construction on the back lot.
And then host an event where thousands of people want to go visit. It made no sense to me. Yeah.
My tip to anybody coming to downtown Disney, before the parking situation is settled, if your vacation allows, go on a weekday and go early.
And take the bus.
Yes.
The bus is a good idea as well. If you're not driving and you're staying on property, take a bus.
And the thing to remember with that is they've now closed the Pleasure Island bus stop, so you only have the one down behind the marketplace. But take a bus.
And if you have Tables in Wonderland, valet. And
Yeah.
little secret that you don't really have to have a whole dinner using Tables in Wonderland. You can go buy a beer and use your Tables in Wonderland and show them your $8 receipt.
just cover up the amount and say, oh,
No, they don't care.
Well,
You just, you know.
they don't care.
Maybe until they watch the show.
Okay, so that kind of does it for what the current status of it is. Now, I want to pose this question to everybody. With the things that have been added so far, with the construction that's going on right now, and with other things that have been added, because I know Downtown Disney has also added more musicians, more street musicians in the places that allow for it, like by Fulton's Crab House and by, what is the Irish pub?
Raglan
Road. You know, there's more of a nightlife. So with the addition of that kind of stuff and the subtraction, considering the construction, what's your guys' overall vibe on Downtown Disney right now? Do you see it going in the right direction? What do you guys think? So I will start with Sean.
I definitely see it going in the right direction, and I think it'll get there. I think it's going to take a long time, and for me, it's almost worth skipping until it gets to a place that's more manageable. Unless you hit it at key times. If you're just going there for a quick thing, park in the morning, then you can get in and out. But for me to go on a Friday night or a Saturday night or hang out in a weekend, it's not worth it to me. There's other places in Orlando that are easier to get to and more fun. But however, one day when there's sufficient parking, there's more things offered, then absolutely it will be a place to hang out.
And it really did used to be a fun place for me to go on a Friday or Saturday night. And now, beyond just the things that are offered there and the construction that's happening, it's the parking. The parking that pushes me away from it. I don't want to do it. I don't. How about you, Kathy?
I have a hard time, I'm the Disney lover that thinks that when Disney does something, it's so wonderful. With this project, I sort of feel like Disney must have just said, you know what, let's just tear the whole place up. Disney usually, like when they do a park, they'll put up some scrims so you sort of feel like you're walking past a building. Here it's just, maybe they should rename it Construction Land, until it's done, because you can't put yourself, like, how when you go to a park and you sort of forget about life for a while?
Yeah.
You can't feel that down there. And I feel like I want to do a calendar of construction walls and cranes, because it's like they've got the market cornered on it down there. So we still go, but it's sort of like let's hurry up and get in and get out kind of a...
Yeah. Well, taking that into consideration, I mean, it's not like they're just adding a new area to this. I mean, they're talking about basically a complete retooling.
Right.
It was the largest, renovation of Downtown Disney ever.
Right, exactly. And they had talked about doing what was the original one a couple years ago. They were talking about changing it at one point, and they never followed through with it.
Right.
Something Wharf.
Hyperion Wharf.
Hyperion Wharf is the theme that they were going to go with. But now this looks really cool, and it is a complete overhaul from end to end. Something's going to be different. So, Corey, what are your thoughts currently?
I see the light at the end of the tunnel, but for me, Downtown Disney is it's not just stroll. Currently, it's not just to go and stroll around. I need to have a destination. I need to say, okay, I'm going to Splitsville. We're going bowling. We're going to the movies. We're going to do this or that. But it's not let's go hang out at Downtown Disney. Currently, it needs to be a destination, or even you have dinner somewhere. But it's not someplace I want to just go.
Right. It has to be a very specific reason to go there.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, I cannot imagine, because there were times where I would say, okay, I'm going to park at Lanuba, and I'm just going to walk all the way across down to Marketplace, do what I do, and then walk back to my car, and that'll be my evening. That in no way is that going to happen right now. Once it's done, yes, but for now, I agree with you, Corey. I've got to be wanting to see a movie. I got to want to go bowling, or there has to be something very specific at a very specific shop or restaurant that I have to get. Otherwise, no thanks. How about you, Sean?
Well, I haven't been here long enough to be able to judge what it was like before compared to now. But I will tell you that I personally like it as it is right now, judging by what's going on. Because I usually go down there with my friends, and we just go up and down to all the different restaurants. We celebrated we all celebrated our first days together as roommates down there, and it was a great time. I loved it. So I'm more excited now that once it's done, there's going to be so much more to do, and then we can all have a reunion, get back together, and just have a blast together down there.
That's interesting that you really haven't experienced it before now. I mean, and I think that'll be cool when it finally does open, that you will have been a part of all this construction and all this waiting, because it feels like, we've kind of been in that zone, like with New Fantasyland. We saw the walls go up, and then we had to wait that amount of time and see them come down. And when those walls come down, man, it is awesome. So I really hope that you get to experience that, because I think that this really is going to be amazing. I cannot wait for it.
So it doesn't. I worry about what the first time visitor to downtown Disney thinks.
Okay.
Because you know how Disney, it's the attention to detail. Well, right now it's the attention to construction walls. That doesn't bother you. You can see past that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I know that Disney's going to do a good job with it. I mean, we already saw there were some pictures online of some of the construction of like this lamppost that had the Disney Springs logo on it and stuff like that. I know that they're going to do well with it. I mean, this is just coming from a guy who hangs out with his friends on the weekends. I do hang out with them at downtown Disney. We go either watch a movie or Splitsville, like what everyone else does.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad it's not chasing people away.
No, I'm excited about it.
Craig, what do you think?
If you're coming on vacation, you're going to put up with what's going on, but I'll go from the locals' perspective. Okay. Right now, it's absolutely horrible. The only way I'll go there is if I need to go to D Street or Marketplace Co-op or something in particular. I love Splitsville, but there's other good bowling alleys in the area. And then in terms of the movie theater, if you just drive down the street to the AMC at Universal, about maybe a fifth of the people that go to the downtown Disney one go there. You walk in, always find a seat. And the dining experiences have seemed to gone downhill too at downtown Disney. I mean, Earl of Sandwich cut their sandwiches basically in half, and now they barely give any meat on them anymore, and they raised the price. There's not a lot to do. However, I know it's going to be good whenever it's completely finished. But right now, for locals, I think there's better options. In the future, that might be the place to go and, take out a dent from all those other places. But we'll have to wait and see.
And I think, especially after hearing that, it's important to reiterate that this is a very unique rehab. I don't think we've seen anything at Disney on this scale for a major portion of a specific place. Like when you do a rehab on New Fantasyland or you do Avatar Land, it's off to the side. You don't have to deal with it if you don't want to. If you want to go to downtown Disney, no matter where you park, no matter where you start, you're going to be dealing with construction right now. And that's just the way it is, unfortunately. The next thing I wanted to talk about, unless anybody else has anything they want to add to that, next thing I wanted to talk about was kind of the few things that we do have confirmed that are coming up next, that are in the plans that we know about. One of them, or actually, Sean, why don't you fill us in on a couple of those?
Yeah, of course. So I did a lot of research trying to go online. There's a lot of the same thing. I see, downtown Disney Springs will have eclectic shops and restaurants and stuff like that. Not a lot of detail, but the things I did get were a couple of restaurants. One of them was called Morimoto, which is basically like a sushi restaurant, which also mixes in some westernized styling in the cuisine. STK, which is a steakhouse but classier, is what I said it. Is like all these are kind of like more upscale. Like you have to dress nice, go there. So that's a different vibe, I guess, than what I would usually do with me and my friend.
Yeah.
You know, like in my Mickey Mouse Star Wars t-shirt.
That's going
probably
to be
can't go in.
interesting to see if people will dress up to go to downtown Disney.
Now, did they say? I mean, I know these are upscale places, but I just, in the, family vacations, I can't see them saying, "All right, put on your dress shoes." I see that more of a local thing, but if you're on vacation,
Right, I highly doubt that a dress code would be enforced in the same way it's not enforced in some.
yeah, I mean, they might say no tank tops, no hats, or something like that, but they can't get too strict.
But if I'm not mistaken, something like this, a more upscale steakhouse, this is the first of its kind at downtown Disney.
Well, and also the Japanese restaurant.
Yeah.
I mean, they have sushi bars. You can go to Wolfgang Puck and stuff like that, but not a dedicated restaurant that's just all Japanese and sushi,
I'm
which is
excited
going to
about
be
that.
incredible.
I mean, I just looked up like some of their like the websites of these restaurants and some of the pictures that they have on there. It's really unique and cool. They've got very awesome special designs that make you feel like you're in a totally different place, like in Wonderland almost. So that I'm excited about. One of the restaurants that was rumored and had some pictures of was the Edison. And I don't know if you guys know this, but apparently there's one over in California that a lot of Imagineers like to go to and spend their time just eating and hanging out there.
I think there's one in Fort Myers, too.
Also there. And that's it celebrates the era of invention, like Thomas Edison and stuff like that. And the word I can describe it as steampunk, and I know that's not the accurate word, but that's
Right.
the vibe I get.
Steampunk insinuates that it has that classic turn of the century, but with modern computer technology, kind of a sci-fi turn of the century kind of thing. And this is what you're talking about. That's all about invention. It's all about technology, but it's in that setting of kind of the turn of the century, 20th century. I'm sorry.
So none of the sci-fi stuff, just all none of that. I don't want it to get confused. I want it to have that look. But we have two other restaurants that, if you guys looked at the concept art, they have some really good pictures of it. One of them is called The Hangar, and it'll be a completely new restaurant, unique to Disney Springs. However, there's no word yet on the menu or the prices or anything like that, but it is themed after an airplane hangar, and it will be designed based on aviation and flight.
Ooh, I know where I'll be.
That sounds cool.
I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Having that kind of thing. Like, it definitely goes with that whole waterfront property you're talking about. With the landing, right? That's where it's supposed to be located.
I think so, yeah.
I like that turn of the century coastal town. I can see how that theme is going to play out, and if these restaurants like the Hangar are fully developed in that way, that's going to be so cool. Are we missing anything, Kathy? Is there anything that you know of that?
Well, I was going to say, going along with that, we were talking before about the Amphicars.
Yeah.
They're going to have out in the water, go into one of these restaurants. There's been pictures of the Imagineers testing them out there in the lake. So
If we can, we will try to get a picture of that along with this concept art on the show notes page, disunplugged.com, where you can find that.
Yeah, the Amphicars you're talking about, they're going to be part of another restaurant, actually, is what I read, called the Boathouse.
yeah.
The way you described it, I wasn't sure. Is it? Do you eat in those
I
cars?
don't know.
Is it a drive-through on the water?
I have not. I've just seen the boats out on the lake and them testing, but nobody's ever said what you do with them. If that's just for the atmosphere, or you can take a ride like after dinner or do something.
What I'd assume is that you just go into the restaurant, you eat there, and then afterward, as part of the show, you can go off to the side of the building. Maybe there's a special separate queue for that, where you can go ahead and rent out an Amphicar or amphibious car. I'm just going to say that's where I guess they get the term from, and go out onto the lake. I don't know what their conditions are going to be to rent out. You have to have a valid boating license or something like that. Or?
You probably just need a driver's license like any of the other recreational watercraft, I would imagine.
No, this restaurant's from the creators of Rainforest Cafe.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, and oh crap, what was I going to
Could
say?
be cool. Good song.
Sorry, you were saying something, and then I had a complete Yeah. One of the things I wanted to talk about was drawing some obvious comparisons and looking forward to this, drawing the comparisons between both the downtown Disney that is at Disneyland in California, and maybe even drawing a comparison to CityWalk over at Universal Studios Orlando. Let's start with CityWalk, because I think it's interesting, because CityWalk is adding a whole lot right now. They're adding a lot of new restaurants. They're adding a lot of new venues. What do you think the vibe's going to be once everything is open? What's the back and forth going to be? What, in your honest opinion, guys?
Well, I'll start with that. CityWalk is adding all these new restaurants, and they're actually really, really good for the most part. There's a couple misses for certain meals and stuff, but they're trying to get the whole restaurant realm down. However, they're still looking at nightlife and fun stuff to do after you're done at the parks. So it does not have the same feel as Disney Springs, where it seems like an area that you want to go and walk around all day and hang out at, and that's the big distinction there. And then in going to Disneyland too, I'll just throw it in right now. Disneyland, I look at it as a lot of cool distractions on your way to the parks or on your way out of the parks. However, they have great restaurants there, a lot of cool places to shop, and then the end destinations are usually fun, like Disneyland Hotel or the Grand Californian right there.
Right.
So both of those places, CityWalk and Downtown Disneyland, I look at them as just other things to do, whereas Disney Springs is going to probably turn this into a place where you want to spend the entire day.
It will become a destination.
I hope that's the case.
And one thing that CityWalk is lacking, that this is going to, we haven't talked about the boutique shopping that's coming. There's not a lot of shopping at CityWalk.
No.
Just a lot of restaurants, but there's not a lot of shopping.
It's all
so it's
chain
not
and
really a
big box.
destination, yeah. And that's another thing that's coming, a ton of boutique shops. Julie's excited. I'm sure a lot of people are excited. I'm more excited about the dining.
Yeah, and I agree with Craig. I think that especially the way they're talking about the whole water district of being able to get boats, it's all on a wharf kind of thing. It's going to be like going to a beautiful downtown little town, and spending time walking around, shopping. It sounds really cool, where it is very different from CityWalk or Downtown Disney out in Disneyland, where those are kind of a pathway to your final destination.
This sort of reminds me of Riverwalk in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. It's just like the cute little shops, and you can stroll, and it's a place that you would want to spend a good part of your day, not just be there for the entertainment.
I agree with that. It has that same kind of immersive feeling. And that's another difference between, I think, Downtown Disney at Disneyland and CityWalk here versus Disney Springs, is that those feel like a path. Those feel kind of like, CityWalk is in a loop, so you're using it as a destination, like Craig said. And so is Disneyland, Downtown Disney. You walk through it. It's just kind of a straight shot. This almost seems like they're building in a way that there's going to be bridges, and underneath there's going to be, an above area versus a downstairs area. So it's going to feel a lot more like just a whole put together thing rather than a path to somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
However, on the flip side of that, the cool thing about CityWalk and Disneyland Downtown Disney is that everybody sees it, and you can get there very easily from your hotels.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to go out to Uva Bar in the middle of Downtown Disneyland, and then stumble back to the hotel, you can do that. Or if you just want that convenience of being able to walk wherever you want to walk, the only place that is offered here at Disney World is if you're staying over at Saratoga Springs, or maybe even Port Orleans, you can catch a boat. But I'm hoping that this construction kind of connects that circle with Saratoga Springs a little more. It seems like that's what they're trying to do. And I think Saratoga Springs will become a much more popular resort once that happens. So you were kind of mentioning the boutique shops and stuff like that might be on their way. I think, we have a small list of rumored things that, none of it's confirmed, but some interesting things that might be kind of boutique shops that maybe we can mention.
Yeah, I have a list here. Top Shop or Top Man, Super Dry. This is one from Japan, and Uniqlo, also from Japan.
And these are clothing retailers?
Yes. And so just a lot of stuff from like all over the world. I got one here from Spain, Bershka. I don't know if I pronounced that right.
It seems like on this list they also, there are rumors that maybe some more larger name retailers would pop up, including an Apple store, a World of Coke, Coca-Cola, and then New Balance shoes.
Do we need another shoe
It's starting
shop?
to sound like an outlet.
I definitely don't want it to be
Like I said,
that.
these are just rumors that have been cultivated on the internet, and these are kind of the things that are popping up in kind of, I think, the general consensus of maybe what people want to see.
I will say, World of Coke in Georgia, that's supposed to be kind of like another theme park almost like that. So I wonder if the Downtown Disney version will be kind of like a more fun version of a Coca-Cola store. You're not just selling Coca-Cola products,
Right.
but more of an interactive, fun area. I hope that's what it turns out to be.
That would be cool, kind of like the way they do the Lego store now. It's a not only a merchandise shop, but it's an experience. But there's a whole lot of stuff, including like Coach handbags and stuff like that. Again, all this is rumored, and we can.
I'd like to see more stuff like trendy from that store, but like maybe not only for women,
A guy's
version of that. I think that would be Disney related. It'd be one of a kind. It's not something you can find at the outlet.
Well, along those same lines, on your list, you have a D-Tech store, which I think a customizable D-Tech store could be really cool if that was to be offered at.
So like an expanded location versus what's in the marketplace co-op?
Yeah.
Okay.
Instead of just like that little, because right now all it is basically you print out a case for your phone, right? Like, I don't know what else DTEC can do besides that. I feel like they could do so much more, right?
Yeah, no, they could. And now this is the fun part of the show, because there's a lot on this list, but they are rumored. I don't want to get into every single one of them. But my question to you guys, and we'll kind of wrap up with this, is we'll go around. What do you want to see? Whether it's something in particular, a shop, a restaurant, a store. I just said a shop and a store. Those are the same thing. A venue.
I'd like to see both of those.
Or just a general feeling about Downtown Disney, or a general vibe, or anything. What would be on your wish list for Disney Springs over the next couple of years?
I'll go.
Okay.
I'll go. Things that have been confirmed, I'm looking forward to the sushi place, obviously. I'm looking forward to the food truck park. I think that's going to be great. I love the walk-up places where you just don't have to sit and commit. One thing I would like to see gone, I know a lot of smokers are going to hate me, the Sosa cigar store. I mean, I just, walking past that, I went through a cigar phase, but now I can't even stand the smell of it. I'd like to see that gone.
If they're going to keep that, they should have tucked that back.
Tuck that away, yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the definitely the new dining options, the more of the entertainment. I mean, they've already started that with the entertainment around. We walked out of the movie the other day, and there's a whole big crowd similar to Disneyland. So dining and doing another drinks around the world once it's complete.
Have to do it all over again.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Kathy, how about you?
Well, first, I'm looking forward to it all being done, and that I can just pull into a parking spot and go off. And I like the idea, because I thought what was missing before is it was just like, if I need to get down to Cirque, I have to walk down this way.
Yeah.
Where now it's like I might want to linger and spend some money and enjoy the entertainment. I want to spend more time there. So I'm looking forward to it being done and actually spending an evening down there, just enjoying the fact that I'm in Disney World.
Right. How about you, Sean?
Well, piggybacking off of what you said earlier about unique shops at Downtown Disney, my friends and I came up with an idea of a Disney-themed store, kind of like Disney. What was it called? It was called Disneek, is what we decided to call it. Where, if you guys heard of Disney Bounding, have you ever heard of that? Where basically you dress up like a character, but you don't look exactly like them. You just have clothes themed after them. So
Oh, right. Yeah. I've heard of
and
that.
so I thought that would have been a cool idea if they made a store that entertained that idea, so that way guests can come in and
So kind of like having a green T-shirt that looks like Peter Pan's outfit.
right,
But
they would actually be like more designed, catered to that actual more legit feel, instead of an actual, you can't rent out a Disney costume, but something that just looks modern day, but what Peter Pan would wear
Yeah.
in our style.
Right.
And I thought that would have been a cool idea. And I hope they come up with more stores like that, because I think that'd just be I would spend my paycheck there.
Well, I think the co-op marketplace is a good start for that.
Yes.
I think that kind of signifies that maybe they wouldn't go into that specifically, but that they're going into that more unique and individualized and specific type of merchandise that fans can really get into. Disney fans can really get into. It's not just Disney World 2014
Right.
T-shirts, or it's not just Disney Parks merchandise. It's something a little more specific, a little more unique. So that's cool. How about you, Craig?
I guess the things that I want to definitely see is restaurants that are different from what they have now. And then kind of piggybacking off of what Universal's done with like the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. They made these gift shops where you go in and you don't need to buy a single thing, but you'll just walk around and stare at everything inside and get that level of detail and theming. And that would be awesome if they could do it too, because like I said before, I want to make this an all-day destination. If I go there, I want to be able to take in everything. And I think that's a really simple way, just by wanting to go around and see the different theme of everything that's there. Not necessarily buy stuff, not necessarily, try something from everywhere I go, but if I can't spend all day walking around and seeing everything, no matter what it is, then that'd be a loss for me almost. So.
Okay. How about you, Sean?
For me, it's not really a specific thing that I'm excited for, but I would love to see more casual dining places where there's just kind of like a hangout space. So you could get a drink, you can maybe get an appetizer, just kind of hang out. Maybe like outdoor seating, like a patio. But I would love to see them focus more on that kind of thing. Like, the restaurants that are there now are either too far quick service or almost too far the other direction, where it's like strict table service.
More like tapas or something.
Something like that, or just, I don't know, grab a beer and just sit outside on the patio, maybe get some appetizers.
Exactly. Kind of like if the House of Blues outdoor location was serving food.
Yeah.
If it was doing that, having that really not, because that's really the only place there that has a large dedicated outdoor seating area. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's tables and benches scattered throughout, but
I would love to see it themed, something along the lines of Trader Sam's. I know we're getting one at the Poly, but something, I love themed environments like that where you can just go and sit for a couple hours, have a couple snacks, have a few beers and just hang out. I would love to see stuff like that.
So instead of what Pleasure Island used to be, which was a nightlife, a club, more of a lounge kind of situation. So you would go and just lounge around and have a good time in a more of a restaurant vibe than a club.
And I think we'll see that with a lot of the restaurants coming. Yeah. I think a lot of these restaurants will have bars attached to them.
Yeah.
So that'll be a good.
I know, like at downtown, a lot of the restaurants, during the day, they're just straight up restaurants during the day. But at night, they move all the chairs out, and it becomes a whole entertainment thing. Dance club. I mean, so there is a way to do both of those.
Well, that's another good point. I would love to see more live music and entertainment come. And I know there's some now, but it's always, I don't know. I don't want to criticize it, but it's always like clarinets and oboes and didgeridoos
with one guy playing 8 different instruments at once.
Yeah.
The one guy that's there, and I cannot remember his name, but the guy that plays the classical guitar, man, he rocks it.
Oh, they're all very talented. Don't get me wrong.
But he's usually out in front of Fulton's Crab House. Is where I see him, and he rocks it.
We need a swing night like they do at Disneyland. Locals bring their little pop-up chairs and.
Oh yeah, they have a dance floor set out and everything.
Yeah,
it's
really
dressed
cool.
up.
That's a trip. Okay, I'm excited for that. That's
Well, for me, my kind of wish list is following along what I said earlier and expanding towards Saratoga Springs, having that all-encompassing property feel like a place that you can just stroll around, whether it is at Saratoga Springs or whether it is at Disney Springs. It's all surrounded by that lake, and it's such a beautiful piece of property. And this is going to be a beautiful project once they're done with it. If it looks anything like the concept art that we're seeing for Disney Springs. So I agree with pretty much all of you, especially Sean. I'd love to see some more outdoor lounges. That would be really cool. Make this feel like a downtown. Mm-hmm. Make this feel like a small town that you would go and stroll around and shop in. And make it worth getting on the bus. Make it worth driving your car, because you're not going to be able to get there from your hotel by walking. Make it worth that extra effort to get there, and that's what I want to see. No matter how they do it, make it worth the effort, because they've created this separate place in downtown Disney, and it's not like other like Universal or Disneyland. And so that's what I want. Make it worth it. Make it worth the trip. So unless you guys have anything else to add, I think that's a good time to wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for watching, for tuning in live, and for listening. And we will see you next week for another episode of the DIS Unplugged. Until then, we hope you have a wonderful week. Goodbye, everybody.